My guest today is Aksar Shah. She's a fashion blogger and has a great command over street style fashion. Today, we will be deep diving into the world of fashion blogging and try to understand how one can start with their blogging journey. This is Unati, and I welcome you to our today's podcast. Let's get started. Hi, Aksar. Thank you so much for joining us
Hi,
today.
my pleasure.
You really look very pretty today. Like you are already so much into street style, and you are, I guess, fully representing street style today as well.
Actually, I'm not at all satisfied with how I look right now because I got ready in such a rush because there was a lot of going on at my place. I was like, बस अब हो गया कह लो जो भी मिला."
What are you doing like these days with lockdown and everything?
Actually, right now I'm busy with creating content and I'm also preparing for my entrances. Like I've applied for my masters, so I'm preparing for them.
Okay, all the best for that.
Thank you so much.
So, like before we get into the mainstream conversation, so what we do is
Hmm.
we do a quick rapid fire with like our every guest. So we would like to do
All right.
same with you also. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So first question would be, who is your favorite content creator?
Okay, my favorite content creator, hands down, Malvika
Okay.
Saklani. She's a beauty blogger, right? But
Right.
I follow her so religiously. Like I cannot miss even a single story of hers. Like I love her so much. I adore her so much. Plus, the fact that I adore her so much is because she's so transparent and so honest with her audience. There is just something so true. When creators you can relate with,
Right.
so she's one of them. So I really like her. And there are a lot of like Komal is there, Diksha is there, and Kritika Khurana. I love all of them, but yeah, my favorite is Malvika Saklani.
And what is your favorite dish?
My favorite dish, I love Chinese, momos.
So in Delhi, like what is your go-to favorite momo place?
I love like, to be honest, I don't like momos from like fancy restaurants and all because they are like, I'll be honest, they are tasteless. So I love street food and I love like eating momos from street places like Dolma Auntie Momos or Central Market, places like that.
Actually, I also had
Mm.
once momos like in a very fancy restaurant. Like they were
Mm.
so expensive, and that too
Yeah,
the taste
and
that they
didn't taste
have,
best.
exactly the taste they have in that street style momos, like it was
Mm.
totally missing from it. My third question would be that what is
Mm.
your go-to fashion style?
My good, like to for being particular, I don't have any as such one style that I stick to like completely. I love experimenting, but mostly it will vary between relatable, casual, street style and all that, because I love to put up like style and wear outfits which are recreatable, which are relatable. So if I'm wearing one thing, I just won't wear something for just pictures. I want my audience to gain some inspiration from it, or if I'm taking inspiration from somewhere like Pinterest or any other creator for that matter, I'll try to like incorporate my touch in it and style it that way. So it varies that way.
Which is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, Fault in Our Stars.
Okay, and your dream brand, that you would like to definitely work with.
Okay, my dream brand, like there are so many, but for that matter, I would love to work someday with a high-end makeup brand like Dior or something like that. And in India, I'd love to work with the master of all creators, Sabyasachi, Manish Malhotra, fans like these.
Right. So,
Mm.
like before we start, like you have like brought up in, like you were born also in Delhi only, or like you have been just brought up in
Yeah,
Delhi?
yeah, born and brought up
Brought up
in
in
Delhi.
Delhi. Okay. And I have been living in Delhi like for past 3 years. And from where
All
I
right.
see Delhi is like it seems like a home that is far away from home. So that is what Delhi is from my like, from my perspective, from my eyes. So what is Delhi from your eyes? Like, how do you see Delhi?
Okay, so as I've been born and brought up in Delhi, like I do consider myself a Delhiite, and I love this city. I don't think so in future I'll be able to settle anywhere else, like permanently, but it feels like home. Yeah, I just stayed. It feels like home.
And do you think, like, Delhi has in some way affected your, like, is Delhi some way responsible for you becoming a fashion creator, or I don't know, has Delhi played any role in that?
Yeah, like out of 100%, I'd say yeah, like 50% yes, because like you're surrounded by people who are like a part of this industry. Like almost in every blog, I guess nowadays you'll find a content creator or a fashion blogger or an aspiring creator. And like that, not only I'm just saying because it's a metropolitan city or stuff like that, there are like we have creators from all over like places in India as such. But yeah, in Delhi, I would say that yeah, it has inspired me in a lot of ways. Like my friends, if I um, have gatherings and all, there are people from different areas like who I am in touch with and who belong in the same industry. So I'd say that it had played a little role in inspiring me.
And what role do you think, that Sarojini has played in your fashion blogging journey?
A big it does till date. Like most of my outfits, like you won't believe, the first time I went to Sarojini was in my first year of college. Before that, like I was aware that there is this place called Sarojini Nagar that exists, but I haven't like been there before that. And I was like, it would be like Lajpat Nagar or something, because I was always a Lajpat Nagar girl. It was my one-stop destination. But then in college, I explored Sarojini Nagar with my friends, and I was like, "Shit, why haven't I been to this place before?" And then it was like every other 3 months, we landed in Sarojini Nagar to shop. So yeah, like till date, I guess it's one of my favorite places to like do thrift shopping from, and you really find like gems hidden in that place.
So,
Mhm.
like, by now, I guess that you would have mastered the art of bargaining.
Like not a pro at it, but yeah, I would say I have, because Sarojini Nagar, like it brings out that thing in every year. So if it's 200, no, you're not gonna buy it for 200, you're gonna buy it for 100. If
Right.
it's 500, no, it's not happening, 250 straight. So yeah, I guess it has.
Yeah, so actually, I like was born and brought up in Delhi. Sorry, born and brought up in Ludhiana. So over here, we did
Mhm.
not have like market like these, where you go and bargain and stuff like that. So I was like not into bargaining. Like if I'm standing there and if even a rickshaw wala will say me that it's 100 or 50, I will give them. But then I
Mm.
used to like before going to this market, Sarojini market, I actually explored Sarojini market in third year of my college. So like I guess in past 6 to 8 months only. That also I got the inspiration from watching the vlogs. And before
Mhm.
like going to shopping to Sarojini Market, I have watched like, so many vlogs for Sarojini. Like, if this item is costing this much, then you should, offer the vendor this much.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
guess like vlogging, like watching people's vlog has actually taught me, how to bargain and what should be the price that you should offer. So vlogs
Yeah.
are like my go-to place to, learn how to bargain.
True. Even for me, for that matter, like I have watched so many of like creators, like Sejal used to do Sarojini Nagar vlogs, and so many other creators, because that's how like you know about places. Like my friends used to tell me like go to Sarojini Nagar, it's a great place. You can hang out, you can get amazing bunch of outfits and accessories, but like you need to know more about before going somewhere. So I used to watch like 2 3 blogs before going, like what all shops should I like venture into at first, and what are the best shops, what are the best places that offer best prices and all that. So even I used to watch a lot of vlogs.
How you started with your fashion blogging journey?
So I started in the beginning of 2019 or in the late 2018. Like for at the beginning, I was just posting like OOTDs and outfits, because that was just like when I started. I was a part of my college's fashion society, Glitz. So that like inculcated a lot of confidence in me to like start a page. So because I was procrastinating starting a page since back in school, because I used to follow all these creators on Instagram, and I was like, wow, this is really something great. And my passion for fashion was really there, but it was hidden in me. Like I wasn't aware of it. So it happened little, like time by time. And finally in my second year, and towards the end of my second year, I gained that confidence, and I was like able to start my page. And initially I was not very focused on it, I was just posting OTDs and all. But I was actually into it from like 2019 and 2020. That was the actual time. And especially last year lockdown, because everything was happening at home. So I was like, this is something that I really really love and I'm passionate about it. So although I want to make a career somewhere else as well, like I want to pursue my master's in mass communication, but this is like, as I said, it's my passion, so I would continue with side by side.
So,
That's how.
like currently you mentioned about your Glitz Fashion Society. So do you
Yeah,
think that it has played any major role in your fashion blogging journey, or
a
developing
big
you as a
big
person?
yeah, a big one, because I don't think so if I wouldn't be a part, if I hadn't been a part of my college's fashion society, then I don't think so that I would have got that confidence to like start my own page or go for shoots and be in front of the camera. Because of Glitz, my stage fear, my stage fright had gone, and because of Glitz, I gained that confidence to be in front of the camera, and I knew how like things worked on stage and backstage, because we were one team who had to work on stage as well as backstage. Because if you're walking in a garment in like on stage in front of so many people, then that garment was prepared by us
Wow.
ourselves. So we did all that stuff backstage, and then we showcased ourselves on stage. So yeah, Glitz had been a major part of my college life and this fashion blogging journey. So I owe it to it.
So Delhi University has, I guess, like so many societies. So do you recommend
Yeah,
people joining them? Like what can,
yeah,
people can
definitely.
gain
Mhm.
from joining societies?
I guess not just like fashion society for that matter. Delhi University is a place where it just does not enhances your educational skills, but it enhances your extracurricular skills as well. So I guess there are endless number of societies. If you go to any college, debating society, fashion society, dance society, art society, so many societies. So I guess if you want that exposure and if you have any kind of spark in you, I would highly recommend to like join any society that you have interest in or that aspires you or attracts you. So it will help you develop your personality, it will help you shape your thoughts, and you'll get to learn a lot of things from different societies. For me, it was my fashion society, and I'm really glad that I was in it, because if I hadn't been a part of any society as such, then I don't think so I would like going to college just to study.
So you also, I guess, became the vice president of the same,
Yeah.
society.
Mhm.
How that did like it come up?
Yeah, so in the first, I'll tell you something like when I first gave the auditions for my fashion society in first back in first year, I like had 0% like thought that I'll get selected, because you we were asked to like dress up in a certain way and just show our walks for the audition rounds. And I was like, hey, this is something that I have never done before. How would I get selected? Because there were so many other talented girls with good makeup and good outfits. And also, I was really not sure if I'd get selected or not. But then, cut down to 3 years later, becoming the vice president of the same, it was really special for me, because I literally worked really hard in my first and second year. So I really, it still is very special to me. Like me and my friend who's the president, like we together handle the society, and not just like the third year people, it was like the combined efforts of each and every member of our society. So together we won so many shows, and we one of our biggest wins was winning IIT Bombay in Mumbai, which is one of the
Right.
biggest fests of Asia. So that was our biggest victory, and we were really like glad that we could do it as a team together.
Correct.
Yeah, it was really
That's
special.
that's literally so great, you know. And then coming on to, you know, why like you chose Instagram as, you know, for a content
Mm.
creation, like why not any other platform?
Yeah. So I still like want to like start YouTube someday, but I guess for YouTube it's I guess in YouTube as compared to Instagram is a more massive platform, because I think like anyone and people are mostly accessible to YouTube, like everyone like is aware of YouTube. But I guess Instagram is still a growing platform, and although it's one of the top ones, but I guess it's why I chose it, because you have so many options in it. You can post pictures, you can now there are reels and now there are videos, and I guess because of the hype, yeah. So Instagram, like, are you on like I've always been on Instagram as a private account, but yeah, to start my page, I guess this is where a content creator can get what do you call it, like develop his or her page, or then and then later if you have perfected your skills and are at the same balance, then I get YouTube can happen sometime, as I think for me, because I'm still not that confident like to start YouTube, because it's a platform where you have to talk to your audience, you have to communicate and all. But Instagram is still you're not like simply there with your audience, like you understand, like there is
Right, right.
still some so
A
I still
kind
have
of
to
a
develop.
wall between you and your
Yeah,
audience, maybe.
still there's a wall, like even if you're talking on stories and all, I think that YouTube is more like connected to audience. Instagram is still like your um sort of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess YouTube will happen someday, but till now I'm gaining confidence for the same.
So Instagram, like we have all, you know, seen Instagram going from pictures to IGTV and now to, you know, Reels.
Mm,
So Instagram as a
yeah.
whole is also promoting Reels very much. So how do you take like for like as a content creator, how do you think like it is a
Mm.
boon or is it like a bane, or like what do you think of it as Reels?
I guess it has both pros and cons, because for a creator, if for audience for that matter, I guess it's entertainment. Like obviously, we are. If I am the audience, I would be entertained because I have so many options. I can watch pictures, I can watch reels, I can watch long videos, I can watch short videos, I can watch stories, I can skip it. Like it's in the hands of the audience. But like for that matter, for creators, I guess the job is getting a little bit hard and hard, because you have to stay consistent on each and every category that Instagram is promoting. Like reels are there, pictures are there, IGTV is there, and although Instagram is pushing reels lately, so we as creators, we are like fluctuating between, oh, today is the day to post a picture, now I have to post a reel, now I have to plan an IGTV and video and all that matters. So I guess it's a lot of pressure, but at the same hand it's also fun, because new trends are coming up and you want to add your own spice and like make any simple thing trending. So it's in your hands as well, but I guess it's a little bit pressurizing for creators due to so many categories being generated by Instagram, but at the same time, it's fun as well.
So I was reading this article other day where someone from the, you
Mm.
know, Instagram team mentioned that Instagram is no more a photo sharing app, and like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are more into like TikTok stuff, like they are growing
Mm-hmm.
into as reels. So
Video
how,
based platform.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So how has your, you know, content planning changed? Like how have you seen, you know, your content planning being changed over the years, like from photos to now to videos?
yeah. I guess back in the day when Instagram only had IGTV and photo options, I guess people people were more into like posting pictures, and for makeup tutorials and stuff like that they would choose IGTV, and I guess because of that there were more people on YouTube as compared to Instagram. But now I as there are a lot of video options on Instagram, I guess people are switching back to Instagram from YouTube, because you don't longer have to post 15 minutes 20 minutes video. In 15 seconds you can show your creativity, in 30 seconds you can show your creativity, and that's, although it's challenging, but it is made to bring out the best in you. It is made to like challenge your brain and show how how more creative you can get under this span of time. So I guess I still don't want to believe that if Instagram removes the picture option someday, because pictures are still like, pictures and videos have a difference, because picture, there is so much more you can tell from a single picture as compared to a video, because video, directly or indirectly, you are getting that message, you are getting entertained. But for a picture is like, you never know if one picture tells you a lot of difference. So
Right.
it's that.
So, like since the reels have been introduced, I guess that it has been a bit easier for people to, gain attention of different audience.
Mhm.
And from where I see is that someone who is putting very much effort may not be getting that much, like maybe getting the similar attention to someone who is not putting that much attention, like that much efforts per se.
I get it.
So, like, so do you somewhere, feel bad about that? Because, maybe someone is putting their 24 hours into creating content and something, and someone is just putting their 1 hour and, getting the same
Yeah.
type of, attraction from the audience.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally get it, because like these days you don't know, anything can trend, go on, and anything can get viral. So even if you have like put on zero effort, or if it's just like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds reel, and it'll blow up like anything, you'll get a million views on it. And if there's a creator who's working for like straight 3 days for just one reel, or straight 24 hours for just one reel, and that'll just get 2K or under 1K views, that really like gets you like somewhere, and it really does bother you, because yeah, sometimes it's just the audio which is trending, and you put it anything under that, in that audio, and it goes viral. So I guess Instagram should like push, if it's pushing reel, then it should push reel according to quality content, and not just anything that can blow up, because it really does affect the creators mentality at some point, because there are a lot of creators who are working so hard to like grow their channel and grow their page, and just because of like some stupid things which are trending, they get shadow banned, or their reels aren't shown. So I guess Instagram should do something in pushing quality content.
So what if one day, you wake up and you have this notification over your phone that Instagram has started
Mm.
monetization? So Instagram is
That would,
monetizing their video. Like,
yeah,
what
I
would be
guess
your reaction?
that would, I guess that would be the happiest day of my life, because creators, content creation as a job, it is still not valued that much. If I say, even if I'll take, for example, my family, I just cannot simply say that I want to take content creation for the rest of my life, because this career is not stable. You are still not sure like how much you're gonna make out of it, and how much it's gonna be helpful for you in the long run. So I guess Instagram should, not just Instagram for that matter, any social media platform that helps creators grow and has this label for a content creator to like create content on their platform. And because um, for that matter, we as creators are also helping their platform to grow, right? Because people are following creators on their platform, and from them they are getting entertainment or any help or any sourcing for that matter. And so yeah, Instagram, YouTube, or Snapchat for any matter, I guess they should monetize the work for content creators, because if anything, this job is not easy at all. You literally have to put in so much ideation, and so much pre-production goes on, post-production goes on, and it's a lot, to be honest. So yeah, I guess monetizing a content would be like one of the best things that would happen to a creator.
So before this, we were talking about, getting recognition from audience and everything. So you
Hmm.
recently got recognized for the work that you do, and you had this coverage in Cosmopolitan. So
Yeah.
like getting featured in Cosmopolitan is like, something everyone, I guess, longs for.
Hmm.
So how did this
Yeah.
happen? Like what? Like someone, came to you to ask you for it, and like when they reached out to you or something, how
Hmm.
was your feeling at that point of time?
Hmm. So that it is like really one of the most special things that have happened to me in my journey of content creation till now. So how it happened was like the editors from Cosmopolitan, like the magazine editors, they um, like they DM and they ask for like like either they can DM you or either they can email you. Like they have this place where people can like sign up for getting featuring, and they get a bunch of creators and they take pictures from them. And if your picture is like suitable for their magazine, and if they feel that you're an authentic creator and your work is appreciable and your work is at a certain level, so I guess they select you from a bunch of different people, and then they ask you to like get a sort of write up on what you're wearing and describe what you're wearing. So that's how it happens. Like they get a bunch of people, and from them they select the best ones, and then they post.
Okay. So how was your feeling at that point of time, when you got selected? Or even first,
Mm.
like when people reached out to you, like reaching it out is also like a one big
Yeah,
thing.
it's also a big deal. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when it initially when the editor reached out to me, one of the editors reached out to me, I was very thrilled, but I had 0% again thought, okay, I'd be getting featured, because if an editor is messaging you, it's not just like you are the only one who's getting messaged. There are a bunch of other people in the same field that are getting that same email or same text, and so many other creators are also there who are working really well and who have a really good content creation page. So I firstly I didn't think at all that I was really happy that I got the message, but I wasn't sure that if it will happen or not. But when this thing happened, so I wasn't aware of it actually. Like you get an email, but I didn't check my mail that day. So one of my friends, she just texted me and said that, Aksa, you're on Cosmo, what the hell, you didn't tell us. And I was like, what, shut up. No, it can't be true. So then she like we talked on the phone, and then I went to like the Cosmo page and I checked it, and I downloaded the magazine, because these days you're only getting the e-magazine. So I checked it from there, and I was like, this really happened, and I was really really like happy. I showed it to my dad, I showed it to my friends, and everyone was so happy, and it still holds like a really really special place in my heart. It's one of my first big features, so I would really keep it to me.
So like
Mm.
earlier also, like you were mentioning that we all know that this field is, not very much which guarantees you a stable income or
Mm.
something like that. So after
Yeah.
getting featured in Cosmo, did your parents' opinion, evolve a bit, or the support that you got from them
Mhm.
evolved a bit? Did that help in any way?
Mhm. I guess my my family, for that matter, like they're still not aware of how this job works, right? On what's content creation exactly, what are the insights and everything. So I want to keep it that way for some time, because I don't want to burden them. Like, okay, I have decided like this is the thing I want to do, because I have other like dreams and other things that I want to accomplish as well. And this is something that I just cannot leave, and this is something that again I want to give my 100% to, but I want to carry it as my passion. And so I guess until and unless I completely feel that it is stable for me, and this is something that like will give me 100% assurance of this is exactly what I want to do, and this is the only thing that I want to pursue. I guess I'll keep it this way until then.
So you just mentioned, that you have other dreams that you want to accomplish, or per se, other
Mm-hmm.
other work that you accomplish before, deciding that this is the thing
Mm-hmm.
actually you want to do. So what are those other achievements that you wish to accomplish?
So like I really want to like complete my masters in either mass communication or fashion communication, like whatever I get in. And I want to do like a few summer programs from abroad if I get the opportunity to, and like have some anchoring programs, and because that's what I like sometimes. And yeah, so basically firstly I want to like complete my masters and complete my studies, and then like I want to say that I want to stick to one.
So where are you, like, willing to get admission for masters? Like Delhi has a very good range of
Mhm.
colleges for mass communication, I guess, especially when it comes to
Mhm.
masters.
Yeah, so I have recently applied for masters in mass communication at Jamia University. It's quite nearby my place, and it's one of the best universities from mass communication. So I have applied in that, and there are other courses that I've applied for as backup option. as backup options, I have applied for English honors, masters in English honors, and a few other courses. But my main aim is to like crack master. Let's see if it
Are you
happens.
like also going for IIMC first say, like for masters?
No, no, like I'm still waiting for the like the forms to come out, because last year that's the mistake I did. I didn't apply it on time because there was some chaos at my place, so the dates were missed. So I wasn't able to apply for IMC. But this time, as soon as the like forms are released, I'll make sure that I apply.
Okay, that's great. So,
Mm.
like you have been in Delhi and you have been into fashion blogging, and Delhi has massive place, for getting shoots done and everything. So, which is
Yeah.
your like, what are your favorite spots, to get yourself clicked, or how do you do that?
Mhm. So I like places which have an aesthetic touch to them, because that's how I want my feed to remain, and that's what my taste is like. So I love like experimenting shoots in aesthetic backgrounds or vintage backgrounds. Like there are a lot of spots. There is Lodhi Art District. Like there are particular backgrounds there which match my aesthetic. So I love that place. Plus there is this place in Ansel Plaza. There are a lot of like wallish like wall places and white background places, and I like that as well. And then CP is there if you want a royal touch to your pictures, the white pillars and the British, all that. All I know. And yeah, I guess sometimes you can go to a nice park as well if you want the greenery in your pictures. And other than that, streets are the best.
Right.
Like just take a simple clear wall and we're good to go.
And how do you see Chandni Chowk like as a
Mm,
delight? How do you perceive, like,
mm.
what is your view of Chandni Chowk?
So I did shoot at Chandni Chowk once, and I guess it's really good if you want to do some like ethnic inspired or like vintage inspired shoot there, because there is there's this area called Khari Bauli something, and at that place you go up to the terrace and there are a lot of shoots happening there. So there is this all like what do you call that, ruins remains of this ancient place, and you get a really like vintage um, um, touch and aesthetic touch from that place. But I guess it's really good if you want to do some aesthetic shoots there. It's a good place for that.
So, like, Chandni Chowk is getting into, renovation. And so, do you like
Hmm.
miss the old essence of Chandni Chowk? Like, do
Yeah.
you feel that you will?
Yeah, obviously, because since I've been brought up, I have went to Chandni Chowk a lot of times with my parents and grandparents, and it's one of the places like it hits you whenever you go back. Like it's been so many years of past, so like obviously it's the need of the hour like to change it and everything. But I'll definitely miss it, because like the old streets, the old buildings, and all they have something in like you can just feel it when you're at that place. So
Yes.
it's something you definitely miss.
So, fashion blogging is something, where people are actually doing very much hauls and getting into very much fast
Hmm.
fashion. And I guess if somehow it is promoting fast fashion. Like from where I say,
Hmm.
because people think that they need to show up their audience fancy stuff and new stuff every day. So it somehow maybe promotes fast fashion. So like how do you think we can stop it, or how it is affecting the environment and things?
I guess fast fashion, promoting fast fashion is one of the biggest things, which is why like because like the suffering is going on and a lot of things are being mishandled. So the best thing to curb that is, I guess, promoting slow fashion and switching to rethink the 3 R's: rethink, rediscover, and restyle. Because even for that matter, if you have 5 to 10 pairs of outfits in your wardrobe, you are you can style them in so many different ways. Like always go for outfits which you can wear and style in different ways, because that's how you'll be supporting slow fashion and support small brands, support small startups, like go for thrift shopping, because it's not like cheap, it's something which will help you curb fast fashion. And although there are these great high-end brands, once in a while it's all great. Every girl wants to accomplish their dream and like get a Gucci bag or get a Louis Vuitton and something. But once in a while it's always great. But like I guess for like you always need to balance it. So thrift shopping, supporting small brands, and shopping from local businesses. I guess it's great to support
So, like,
these.
can't we, like, this is my thought, like, can't we,
Mhm.
create a community where people can pass on their their wear, like, sorry, their clothes to one another, and like this will create a this will create
Mhm.
a chain. And like there are so many creators, so many fashion creators, that are
Mm.
like there are so many budding fashion creators as well. So maybe if we create this change, maybe of passing, like, I guess, like, I know personally that every girl's outfits is like very dear to her. But like,
Yeah.
is it possible, to create a chain like that? Because I have seen like these chains in books, like people, courier their books to each other, and they
Mm.
create this chain to, save paper and everything. So is it possible to, create some community for clothes
Mm.
as well?
Yeah, I guess it definitely is. And recently, what you're talking about, Stage Three Social, it's a brand. They are doing the same thing. They are coming up with a platform, with an app where you can put the creators, especially, can put their clothes up on sale at decent prices, and anyone who's interested in purchasing them, they can go ahead, and those clothes you can see them styled in different ways. You can see how you can style them or how you want to style them, etc., and stuff like that. And it's like a place where you can put up your clothes for sale. And I guess there are a lot of other apps and other platforms as well that are coming up with the same, and this thing should be promoted, like, because that's how you will support slow fashion, and it's something that is the need of the hour.
Mhm. Right. So as an influencer, like you may be working with like a lot of brands and everything. And I guess that there are so many brands coming up these days, and like everyone is targeting influencer marketing, because I guess that in
Mhm.
today's market, like this is the easiest way to reach
Yeah.
out to the audience and to the young people. So like
Mm.
what is your take on influencer partnerships with the brands? Because like brands anyway gets benefited, like even if
Mhm.
you have an audience of say 500 people, maybe one of them will at least purchase the product. But brand is not offering paid partnerships to everyone.
Mm.
And just to
True.
gain partnership, to like tell people that we are also getting partnerships, because like whoever is starting with
Mhm.
this work, this content creation and everything, so everyone dreams to collaborate with brands. And
Mm.
somehow, like, if any brand will come to them to collaborate, they will take it as an option even on barter to promote them. And maybe that brand is not actually that it is providing that value to their audience. So
Yeah,
how
true.
we can curb this, or like what is your take, on influencer partnerships with brands?
Yeah, I guess influencer marketing is one industry which seems to like is gaining a lot of momentum, because due to the lockdown and pandemic, this is one thing which is growing at a very fast rate. So I guess for established creators, they obviously don't do barter collabs for that matter. And I guess if you are just a beginner who have started his or her page, or just started content creation as a beginner, then I guess it's no harm in doing barter collabs for some time, unless like people are aware that your content is quality content, and you are not putting something just for the sake of it. You are researching well, you are trying the products, or you're styling the outfits in different ways. And once it is done, once you've reached a certain place, I guess from then on you should not like just settle for barter collabs, because as I said earlier, this job is not easy. It requires a lot of efforts on our part to like create a 15-second reel or a one post or a carousel post for a particular brand. So till now, I get a lot of emails, a lot of DMs like, we'll send you this product for, and like it's about a collaboration. We just do this and just promote it on your page and just write a review. And some of them like even demand like do one reel, do one video, but it's about a collab. So you have to get very selective when it comes to brands. You cannot just promote anything. You have to stay loyal and honest to your audience as well, because that's how you will. That's how a community will function. You cannot like base a community on like lies or just promoting anything. So again, I would like say like if even if you're doing barter collabs, it's not totally like I would say just don't totally abolish them. If you are interested in doing barter collabs, sure, go ahead, but be very selective when it comes to brand. Just don't go blindly. "Yeah, I'll get this product, I'll get that product," and do it that way. Be sure like it's a good brand, it's an authentic brand, and even try to convince them like, you can check out my page, see this is the work I have done before, and I guess I deserve to get paid for it. So if it can happen, then yeah, the brand will also try to understand. But I guess barter collabs to some, like if people are just if brands are just like pushing barter collabs, it's very exploiting on the part of creators, because they do deserve a lot of recognition and payout for the efforts and um, like work they do. So I guess once you have reached a certain level as a creator, you should only go ahead with paid collabs. And if there are barter collabs that you want to do for some time, like be sure like you're very selective.
Right. So how do you plan your content? Like what will you put next? What will be the theme it will be based upon? How do you decide all that things?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ideation that goes behind. Like monthly, I have to batch my reels and batch the content that I want to film for the next 3 to 4 weeks. And sometimes I do it, sometimes I leave it, because sometimes it's not possible to get all the ideas at once. It's humanly impossible. So sometimes I just leave it, and instantly whenever like an idea hits my head, I make sure I write it down in my notes, or I make sure that I just jot it down somewhere, and then I would film it sometime later. So that's how it happens. Sometimes I just plan it for a week, or sometimes I plan it for 2 weeks, and sometimes I just don't plan at all. It's just I just go with the flow.
So how do your shoots take place? Like, I guess you collaborate with photographers and camera persons. So how do those collaborations happen? Then, like, do you edit themselves or
Mhm.
what goes behind it?
So collaborations with photographers like that used to happen until a year back, because lockdown वगैरह जब नहीं था. But sorry, yeah, but since the lockdown, I guess everything has been happening by myself. Like I'm a one man army behind the content and everything. I shoot it on my phone, I edit it on my phone, the videos, the pictures. I don't own a camera as of now, so everything like from scratch is done on my phone. So yeah, so since the past year, and I guess to some extent I'm liking it as well, because the quality is raw, the quality is natural, it's not something very fancy. I'm not like into something putting a very high end thing on my profile as of now. So I guess I like the touch of it. It's authentic, it's raw, and yeah, I'm the one doing everything, like from planning to editing and posting. So that's how I do it.
So, like you are a street style pro, like your feed also
Mhm.
is a street style pro. So why you have this love for street style? Like people are more into maybe some other fashion styles. Like why do
Mm.
you are more into street style?
So yeah, this is one like form of style which I really relate with, because street style is, I love like dressing up in outfits which like give a casual chic vibe, and something also which is again on the very, what you'd say, comfortable level and relatable level. So so I guess street style attracts me a lot because of like you can pair up anything with anything, mismatch, and just add some accessories, like a huge belt or street style baguette bag or belt bag or something, and like just uplift the outfit from the beginning. So it's just I guess it's my way of expressing like my love for fashion, and street style is one of, I guess now I have switched more into Y2K fashion, which is happening these days, and I am liking it a lot. But street style is one thing that I'd always love to do.
If I ask you, like, we are going on a outing, like first day, like let's go
Mm.
out somewhere. So what would be your go-to outfit, like for like currently, like what will you go and just take it out from your mirror and wear it up?
Mm. So either it'll be an oversized t-shirt, or in baggy pants, an oversized t-shirt, and just some chunky jewelry and accessories, or it'll be a white shirt, basic white shirt, jeans or white pants, sneakers, and yeah, gold dainty jewelry and big hoops, and yeah, done.
So, like, do you
Yes,
also
yes.
see yourself, wearing one thing that you like every now and then, like not changing stuff, and like one thing that you have in your mind, like I really love this, and you are just, wearing it again and again. Does that happen with you?
Yeah, it a lot, because for instance, I ordered one top and I really really liked it, so I would love to, like I would love to wear it everywhere I go, and I would wear it in different ways. Sometimes I would just wear it as a top, sometimes I would wear it as with a shrug, sometimes I would wear it with a white shirt, sometimes I'd style it with a skirt and like that. But yeah, I love to restyle my clothes, and this is the reason like my wardrobe is like it looks like a mess so many times, because I just know I'll decide like I'll wear this tomorrow, I have to switch, but then again I'll go back to that top only, and I'll wear that. And it happens with my white shirt a lot, because I own a single pair of white shirt as of now, and I have worn it like so many times. Like sometimes my dad also saying like, how much are you obsessed with this outfit? Like why do you want to wear it all the time? And I'm like, I love
Like, it is very difficult to, differentiate between mom jeans and boyfriend jeans. Like till
it. Yeah.
now, I am not able to, get into the exact thing of like what is the difference. So, like, do you know how to differentiate between, these two?
Even I struggle a lot when it comes to like different types of jeans, but I guess mom jeans is one where it is tight from like your waist and tight from the bottom of your pants, and in the middle of it it's baggy. And I guess boyfriend jeans are also the same, but I guess they are a bit loose from the bottom as well. I am not sure, I'm no pro at it, but I guess maybe. But anyway, I like flare jeans much more as compared to boyfriend jeans or one.
So, one thing that I really like about your feed is the username that you have. Short so what? So it is like, so catchy, and like how did you come up with, short so what? Like what was the idea behind that?
So for the longest part of my life, as I remember, I was really like made fun of for my height, and like not in a bad intention as such, but yeah, people how call you, oh hi shorty, hi choti, and all that stuff, and it really bothers you to some extent. And for, I guess, till my school days, I wasn't able to accept myself as a short height person. I'm 5'1", and I was like, why am I so short? I'll try everything. I used to drink a lot of what you call that,
Complan.
mixes, yeah, कॉम्प्लान तो बचपन में होता था, फिर उसके बाद like all that mixes के drink it, your height will increase and all. I used to do that bullshit a lot of times, but then I guess in my college it finally happened that I came to acceptance, like fine, it's okay, what the fuck if I'm short, it doesn't matter, all that. So yeah, so and even like when I was selected in my college's fashion society, I was shocked at that time as well, because I had a short height. And um basically in this fashion industry, mostly like girls are taken who have like much longer height. So that's how it happened in college. I finally started to accept myself, like accept my height, and that self acceptance really came in. Because before that time, I was all into like wearing heels all the time. And in college, I finally started wearing sneakers, and I was like, fine, it's okay. There are so many other girls who are short as well. So when I was planning to start my page, I had a lot of other names. I don't even remember right now. I was thinking like, should I keep it just my name and like that? But I always wanted to like build a brand name. So I wanted to keep it something that would remind me later, okay, this is how I started. In future, I might change it to my name, like official name. I'm not sure. I might change it. But I always wanted to start it as something which will remind me, okay, I overcame this fear somehow, because that really bothered me for a lot of for a much longer part of my life. So I wanted to start with something which I feel true of. So short, so what started, it's okay if you're short heighted, it doesn't matter. You can still do this, you can still do that, you can still like be in fashion, you can still wear a lot of outfits and style it, you can still start a page. It should not bother you. So I wanted to like inspire a lot of other girls who face the same problems or who live in this dilemma. Okay, I'm short and I'm not able to do this, or their parents or other people who force them, okay, oh, you are short, you won't be able to get in this industry, you are short, you won't be able to do that, stuff like that. So that's how short so what happened.
So just like you mentioned, na, ki in the fashion world, like there was always this
Mm,
stigma that girls who are short heighted cannot go into fashion. So I guess that
yeah,
since blogging came, even the girls like who have a shorter height are also being able to show their love for
yeah,
fashion and get
true,
accepted in the fashion industry
true.
itself. Like so, like
Hmm.
when you would have started content creation, you would have made few mistakes. So would you like to tell our audience, that what are the mistakes that they can avoid to build a stronger brand or build a like to reach at a position much more previously than maybe you did, or to avoid mistakes?
Yeah, for that matter, I'd say like once you start, make sure like for example, when I started, I didn't do a lot of ideation in how I want to carry my page forward. I was just like I said, I was just posting OOTD for a few weeks, and I would do like a few shoots in like in some weeks, and because I was really caught up with college at that time, so I didn't really at that time to like create content daily and create all that. But I guess I would recommend this to other creators who are just starting up, that make sure you put in a lot of ideation once you are starting. Make sure you have a handful of 6 to 9 posts before you're starting your page, so that your audience is not kept in the loop. They are not just kept waiting, okay, this creator has just started now, she'll post now, because that's how you'll gain more followers as well. If you are being consistent, if you are posting daily, if you are posting quality content, that's how you will gain more recognition from your audience. So I guess be more prepared, do a lot of research, do a handful of your ideation, and make sure like you have some content ready with you before you start.
So what are your future plans for Shots So What? Like how do you, plan to scale it up? Or like what do you think of maybe adding into more categories or exploring more fashion options? So what are your future plans for Shots So What?
Mm. I guess I'll continue to do what I'm doing. Thankfully, I'm getting really good brands to collaborate with. Since I have like since the lockdown, since I have started creating all by myself, and it's a lot that I've been doing video creations, and one video takes a lot of time. So I guess I'm getting used to it little by little, and yeah, so I've been getting really good brands to work with, and I guess along with brand collabs, I want to keep it a space which my audience can relate with. Again, I want to find like I know that there is like I would even recommend it, and like there should be an intersecting point between what you want to show and what your audience wants to see. So I like the comments which I get on my posts, or like when I do the question poll in my stories, I usually take that feedback from my audience and I see like what they want to see next, or what should I put up more, what kind of reels do they want to see, what kinds of videos they want to see, if it's makeup, if it's fashion. I like to like experiment and like come to a point where this is something that I want to create and this is something what my audience want to see. So how can I mingle it and put it forward?
Right. So like what are your tips for the creators who are starting out? Like any tips that you would like to give to them?
Yeah, just like what I said earlier, okay, be prepared. Like, it's a lot of work. It's not easy. It's not a fancy world like what it seems like, because I knew, like, when I wanted to start content creation in my school days, I thought, okay, oh my god, she's posting one picture, she's getting so many likes, and it's all wow wow at the beginning. But once you really get into it, you get into the work front, you realize that it's a lot of work. Because when I used to travel for shoots and collaborate with photographers 2 years back, I knew, like, how hard it used to be. I had to carry so many outfits in that scorching heat, and you go to different places, you have to find a washroom to, like, change, and there is a lot of that goes behind getting one picture and shooting that one video. But at home it has been a little easier, I would say, because you don't have to travel that much, you have access to everything at your home only. But yeah, for beginners, I would say that don't get blinded by barter collabs. Don't get blinded by other uh, pages that are reaching out to you in the comment section saying, "Ki DM us, we'll make you the brand ambassador," because those are all fake, and they just want you to like go to their page and increase their page insights. So don't waste your time on that. And I would say, do more ideation, do more planning before you actually start, because that will help you a lot. Gain insights on how this blogging industry and influencing marketing industry works. Get yourself registered with different influencer marketing brands, because they really really help the creators who have just started. You can get good brand collabs, and initially go ahead with barter collabs if they suit you. Select brands wisely, and yeah, once you gain the momentum, you will start to, like, it will be easier. But just make sure that you know your niche well. If it's fashion, if it's beauty, if it's makeup, or if it's sports or anything which you want to, like, start, just make sure that you stick to your niche, do a well research on it, do some ideation, and then go ahead.
So what are the influencer marketing, platforms that you just told, you people could register them with? Like, I guess this
Mhm.
Plixo, and like what are the
Yeah.
other platforms for that
Mm,
matter?
I've heard yeah, I've heard a lot about them. Like, for initially when I started as a creator, I registered myself in Plixo, because Plixo used to get a lot of like campaigns for different bloggers and all. And I guess apart from Plixo, there is Opa reviews, something like that, or there are a lot of new startups and marketing agencies which have started on Instagram. So you can search about them on Google or Instagram, and if you find that it's authentic and if it's good, then you can go ahead.
So, thank you so much for being here today, and we would really, like to wish you all the best from all the team who recorded for your future endeavors. And maybe we just wish that you get admission into your favorite course, and like all the best with everything that you you do ahead.
Thank you so much. I was really, really honored to be here. And as like I said earlier, it was a really great exposure to, like, interact with you. And I really love doing such interactions. Like, you get to know from the other person as well about how are their perspectives and what they think about this industry. So it was really, really fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye. All the best.
Thank you. Bye. Have a great day. Take care.
Bye.